CyberTech Worlds Clash by Outlaw Realms. Chapter 4. Reunion. It only took a few minutes to get to Potter Manor, and Harry was impressed with himself remembering to keep walking, so he didn't go flying out of the fireplace, so he didn't look as stupid in front of Amanda and Ginny. However, Harry did forget to move out the way of the fire. Therefore, he was startled as one after the other both girls walked out of the fire and crashed into his back. Harry chuckled sheepishly as he turned to see them both pressed up to him, squeezed between him and the huge fireplace in the entrance chamber they were in. "Whoa," Ginny muttered as she wound her arms around him. "Feel this, Amy, he has actual muscle," she said laughingly while his sister made sure to have a feel too. "Damn," Amanda muttered. "Hey. Hands," Harry said, jumping forward a couple of steps and glared half-heartedly at the girls. They only smirked and laughed while collecting low fives from each other, which ended with Amanda holding on to Ginny's arm as she gave Harry a wink as she pulled her friend after her, and Harry sighed as they led the way. "They'll be in the guest hall," Amanda said. "You have a hall just for guests?" Harry asked as he looked around the lavish entrance hall. Amanda looked embarrassedly sheepish. "Well, yeah, seeing someone else ask that, it does sound silly." "Yeah," Harry agreed while Ginny snickered. "But anyway, this place is nice. Amy, you must be swimming in money," Harry commented as he was hoping to forget the first trip through the fire, and the groping sister on his second trip, and especially the laughing in his ear. However, inside Harry was also quite pissed off. The possibility of a lack of money could not be the reason his parents abandoned him. He could perhaps understand that if he had been given up to the state, but not what happened to him, not to them. "You aren't going to try for me for the money, are you?" she asked cheekily in that Welsh accent she had somehow diluted somewhat. Harry chuckled while shaking his head as the girls led him through the house. "No, money doesn't interest me anymore." "Oh, so you have money," she replied interestedly. You could say that," he shrugged. "Well, considering he was one of the richest men on earth, maybe even the richest, he wasn't sure where he rated and didn't really care." "Ah, they're in here," said Ginny a little jealously. She really wanted this boy. Money did not really mean too much to her. Though, a nice husband with enough to support a family someday would be nice and keep her busybody mother out of her business. They walked into a huge lounge. Somehow Harry was expecting an actual hall, with about 40 people sitting around while Albus Dumbledore was speaking, however, stopped when he noticed them. Harry had the urge to just smack the bastard old man full force in the face just to make himself feel good. "Ah, Miss Weasley, Miss Potter, glad you could both make it," the old man said with a grandfatherly smile, his eyes twinkling a mile a second, but even Harry could tell that Ginny and Amanda had no interest in even humoring him. "Harry, he's at it again, wait." Seraph began, but trailed off for a moment. "He's using his ability on the girls, but I don't believe he's seeing the truth. I'm not sure, as our psychic detection scanners are still so young and a phone is a bit on the shitty side for perfect accuracy, and the night systems aren't optimized to be any better without full armor activation. The old man tried this magic on them when he couldn't get to you. It seems they know what he's like and are consciously defending themselves with some kind of magic without him realizing." "And who might your guest be?" Dumbledore asked after just a moment, staring back at Harry in curiosity, though if they let him know what they talked about, he was just curious about his reason for being here. "Oh, he's a lawyer, came to speak with Mum and Dad," piped in Amanda as she placed on a cheerful mask. Harry's heartbeat shot up as his parents stood. "So, what's your name, who sent you?" asked Lily, looking a little worried. Harry now glared at them as he slid his hand into his coat and pulled out a matte black plastic handgun with the CyberTech logo on the side in white and pointed it at his mother. He ignored both Ginny and Amy as they stared at him in shock and fear, and shot a red bolt of light smashing a vase when a few people went for weapons, which stopped them in their tracks before quickly flicking a switch and mentally saying oops as he had it set for kill. Well, it wasn't kill, but set to blow holes in things as the bolt of energy came to a stop in the far wall and burning a hole in it. The non-lethal setting created a low-energy field of energy that interfered with a person's natural electromagnetic field that created a flash of pressure in the body to knock them out. "Hello mother, father, nice weather we're having today, isn't it?" he greeted and asked sarcastically, not showing any sign about what the red blast would do. "Wait, what?" Amanda was the first to speak after several silent moments as she looked to her parents. She might have been on bad terms with them as they followed Dumbledore's orders like puppets, but no way they couldn't have. However, as she watched them pale, and watched Harry holding his weapon on them, she couldn't help but know it was real. She turned her attention to Dumbledore and saw that flash of anger he got when one of his stupidly huge and elaborate schemes was ruined or set back. She saw that look a lot as she was party to ruining all of his ridiculous schemes. Now, Mr. Potter," the old man spoke calmly, but commandingly, though Harry did not lower his gun. "There is no need for violence. I'm sure we can all work this out like civilized adults." "Yeah, possibly," he agreed before firing a green bolt and smashing another vase, and they gasped, and he realized because of the color they thought it was a killer like Voldemort and his murderers used. However, he continued, "I don't feel like being very civilized right now, and I'm the guy with the gun, so why don't you shut the fuck up, you fucking stupid old bastard, before I do the world a favor and kill you." "What do you want?" demanded James suddenly. "I want answers, father." "Now tell me," he replied as the gun aimed trained on him. "Why did you dump me on the doorstep of those bastards to suffer, to be tortured and beaten by my dear mother's sick and twisted bitch of a sister and her fat fuck husband?" he demanded angrily. Amanda's eyes widened in horror. Her mum at least looked a little guilty, her dad just looked scared. Mostly everyone had some kind of reaction, but she wasn't surprised in the least that it didn't faze Dumbledore, and she was almost certain he knew how Harry would be treated. Harry's eyes then flashed back to her mum and he actually growled, he was so angry. "You know, for the past 14 years your bony bitch of a sister has been in prison just like her husband, and their filthy bastard of a son was in Borstal, now in jail for assaulting a girl. They had to answer for their crimes, and someday you'll be held accountable. So why, dear mother, don't you answer me?" They all jumped in surprise as he yelled the last two words, and his emerald-colored eyes were actually glowing with power, and Amy was surprised that she felt magic at all coming from him, but this was oppressive, almost as strong as her when pissed while still holding back. It was just a shame for them that Amanda was also pissed and drew her wand as they could feel her magic drawing to the surface and pointing it at Dumbledore as he drew his wand, and several other brave members theirs. Though Harry didn't seem bothered, and Amanda was certain he could fire his gun multiple times before most could fire one spell. It was Dumbledore. Harry was surprised as he saw the man who volunteered this piece of information, though Amy and Harry had both suspected he was behind it. The man had long, almost mullet-like, black hair and pale blue eyes and looked at the Potter parents angrily. Dumbledore told them it would be best, he continued. He said that with an older brother in the way that he would get in the way and protect Amanda from her destiny. And if you did that, she... "Shut up, Sirius," the old man demanded. However, Sirius continued. "There was a second prophecy, Amanda," he said. Dumbledore looked as if he was about to use magic on him to shut him up, but in his distraction, Amanda hit him with a pink jet of magic and his wand soared out of his hand into hers to his shock and horror. "You best hurry and continue serious or I'm so kicking your sorry ass," Amanda demanded, and he gulped. "Well, anyway, you want to hear it?" he asked, and Harry and Amanda as well as others nodded. "The one who defeated the Dark Lord shall be defended by her Knight of Blood." "Sirius, stop," the old man commanded, but he just continued. "The world will learn of his fury, and Mana's secrets shall be forever told. The one with the power to defeat the Dark Lord shall be saved from her destiny's dark path, and the Dark Lord can lose to the world of knowledge, and the Knight shall set his blood free." Harry and Amy's eyes widened as they both thought over those words, but it was Amy who was first to talk. I don't understand. You mean you've practically kept me prisoner from my own life following that other prophecy, when this one says my brother, my twin brother would have saved me from all of this?" "Listen to me, Amanda," Dumbledore finally spoke in a gentle and compassionate voice. "Think about what it says. It says he would have revealed the magical world, we couldn't." "Do you think I give a shit?" she retorted heatedly. "Voldemort and his fucks have been murdering innocent people." Mr. Potter," the old man began nervously. "Avalon, my name is Harry Avalon," he interrupted angrily. "Ironic that I took this name for my new start before I even knew of magic. I took it to honor a friend who passed. She was with me at the orphanage, and he trailed to a stop and glared defiantly at anyone who dared look his way." Quite, the old man agreed nervously, but he completely missed the point. "But I'm sure you can see that what I did was for the greater good of my people, as the prophecy says that you would have outed the magical world to protect your sister." "Of course, I understand," Harry agreed, and Dumbledore smiled for all of 2 seconds. "You're a fucking retard," he finished, wiping the smile from the old man's face. "Then I'm afraid I'll have to deal with you myself," the old man said, standing up as another wand found its way into his hand. "You likely won't enjoy the rest of your life in Azkaban prison." Harry just laughed. "You think you can do shit to me, old man? I already have my people on their way, and they shall be here shortly." Dumbledore chuckled in amusement. "Nobody knows where you are." He began smirking. Harry interrupted with a smirk of his own. "We are in Wales, 15 Graviton Avenue in the southeast," he chuckled amusedly as Dumbledore looked beyond, freaked with wide eyes. How?" the old man asked in horror. "Oh, my gods," interrupted a bushy-haired young woman standing and staring at Harry. He did take note that she hadn't taken her wand out, and looked like she needed a bit of sun in her life. Her pale skin was a little paler with a rose tinge as she saw she had everyone's attention, but she ventured on anyway. "I knew I recognized that name. He's the founder, owner and controller of CyberTech. His company is on par with the likes of Stark Industries." "Clever girl," smiled Harry appreciatively. "But that's not nice comparing us. After all, Tony's not as cool as me," he said jokingly, which caused her cheeks to light up a little more. Harry was actually quite surprised that the young witch knew him and seemed to be in awe. "What does that have to do with anything?" interrupted Dumbledore in annoyance. "I haven't ever heard of either of these companies, and I see no relevance as to how he could possibly know where we are." "They are called satellites, you idiot," replied Harry amusedly, rolling his eyes. "They can track me anywhere." "What's a satellite?" he asked, looking at Hermione. "And what about the magical protections?" "Satellites are machines that orbit the Earth," she replied in thought. "I don't think every satellite could penetrate the wards, but his most probably can and have. I wouldn't be too surprised if there might be others that can too if his has." "Like?" Harry chuckled amusedly and interrupted her. "So, Miss Granger, Hermione Granger," she replied, blushing. She could barely believe that the Harry Avalon was talking to her, her of all people, and he was one of her friend's twin brother. "You know your stuff, eh?" he asked, and she nodded. "Well, what could 40 wizards do against 2 Black Hawk gunship helicopters?" Hermione's eyes widened. Run away very fast," she replied nervously. "Or almost likely die," she added, looking at the rest of the order and realizing that none of them were very fit, and they would have to get through the fire or out of the wards before they could escape. Harry smirked. "Yep, looking at this lot I would guess at the second option," he replied smugly as they all started hearing the distinctive sound of propellers getting nearer, with the sound of engines. "Oh, don't mind them, that's just my ride home," he chuckled. "That fireplace wormhole network of yours makes me feel sick, so I would much rather fly." I guess I can understand that," Hermione said sheepishly. "That thing makes me queasy too. I've been using them for years," Sirius said with an impish smile. "I still feel sick." "Enough," Dumbledore interrupted urgently. "Could these satellites find Voldemort?" he asked, and there was something about the way he asked that made Harry wonder. Harry eyed him suspiciously. "No, they can only detect concentrated bursts of magic," he replied, shrugging before a smirk lined his lips. "Oh, I thought I would let you know that I can tell you, or anyone, the location of every magical nest on the planet," he spoke in amusement as everyone's eyes widened. "Isn't it strange how these prophecies never come true until some moron hears about it and tries to stop it? Self-fulfillment, if you ask me. That isn't fortune-telling. That's manipulating probability. They may seem the same, but they're 2 different psychic branches." Harry's eyes scanned over Amanda as she couldn't hold in her snort of humor, as it made much more sense than it being a fortune. "You crazy old man," Amanda said with a snicker. "It was just like what happened to Voldemort when he heard the other shit-ass prophecy and tried to kill me." She then grabbed Ginny's and Harry's arms and pulled them back towards the door, as she saw a huge white luxury helicopter landing outside the front of the house, with a huge red T inside a huge red C designed like cogs for a logo to this company her brother seemed to own. "You can just fuck off, Dumbledore," she continued. "And those of you that side with him too, you can fuck off, because Ginny and I are leaving with my twin brother. And if you don't like it..." She shrugged as she gestured out the window where 2 large black helicopters hovered, pointing their weapons at the house. Harry just smirked as he led the girls out into the hall, and the 3 of them moved fast to flee the house through the entrance hall, and large front doors into the monumental gardens, and to the white helicopter, as a larger green one had landed behind it, and several armed men in black military uniforms with red CyberTech badges over their chests secured the white helicopter, holding black assault rifles at the ready. "Whoa," Ginny mumbled in awe before squealing with Amy as a tall black woman pulled them both closer to the helicopter, and they saw a white guy getting rejected as he tried the same with Harry, and they looked to see Dumbledore and a few other foolish members of the Order with wands raised. Ginny may be naive to the Muggle world, but she did know one thing, and that was these men and women in black were soldiers, trained to kill. "Mr. Potter," called Dumbledore over the noise of the chopper's propellers. However, the black woman spared them no more thought as she pulled open the white helicopter's sliding door and helped both Ginny and Amanda up and in before turning to Harry and waiting. "I can't let you take Amanda." "Damn, this bastard is really pissing me off," Harry spoke in annoyance. "One last warning, Dumbledore," he called out before turning, and as he climbed up into the helicopter, he gave his order. "Disable them, but do not kill them if it can be helped." The black woman nodded as she slid the helicopter's door closed and spun round, glaring with weapon raised. She could see the old man was about to fire something and she wasn't willing to find out what. Her gun exploded out one round, hitting the old fool in the shoulder of his wand arm. It caused him to drop his stick as his other hand reflex came up over his bloody wound in shock before he dropped to his butt with wide eyes. The other Order members went down in a similar fashion only moments later by the other soldiers, crying out in pain before the men in black were quick to get into their helicopter as Mr. Avalon's helicopter had taken to the sky, and they soon followed after it with the gunships flagging it for protection. To be continued. Thank you very much for listening to my fanfiction audiobook. I hope you enjoyed this chapter. Please subscribe, leave a comment, and hit that thumbs up button, and you'll be hearing from me on the next chapter, sometime soon. Also, you can follow me on Twitter at Outlaw Realms. Till next time.